Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday, May 3rd, 2026 writing reading class. Hope you had a good week. Let's go ahead and get started. Just give me a one in the chat room to let me know you can hear me okay. Perfect. And so we'll start out today with our quote, get into some expansion on that. We'll do a reading with the quiz. We'll talk about some theories for good writing. We'll introduce a new book and then wrap up with some vocabulary. Let's start off with the quote. Ken, can you read the quote over on the left for us?
Truth is like the sun. You can shut it out for the time, but it ain't gone away.
Correct. And that was a quote by Elvis Presley. Ain't going away. Now, let's reflect on this for a second. Can anyone explain what Elvis Presley is trying to tell us about truth? He's talking about truth in the form of an analogy. An analogy. What is he saying? Ethan?
Maybe this person is trying to tell us like truth. Like it's like the sun. Like there are clouds that shut it down, but it will always the cloud will always go away, and you can always see it. And like it's like truth, and like you can hide it for some time, it but you can't hide it forever.
That's right. So the truth always does eventually come out. Now, it's very interesting how we sometimes use analogies to express an idea. It's a very beautiful way of using language by comparing it to something else and then giving an explanation. As in this case, he says that truth is like. And like is one of the forms that we use to compare two things that are not the same. And then we provide an explanation, and then we've created an analogy. We could also say something like truth is the sun. We could eliminate the like, and we could say truth is the sun. And that way we could once again explain what that metaphor means. And then when we explain it, it becomes an analogy. But if we just said truth is like the sun, that's what's called a simile. If we said truth is the sun, where we're actually calling it, that's called a metaphor. But when we provide the explanation, that's when it becomes an analogy. And many times when the message is not completely understood, if I just said to you, truth is like the sun, you may not know what I mean. But when I give you the explanation, now you understand. And so analogies always require an explanation. Now, we also notice in this quote, we see a phrase that says, ain't going, ain't going. Can anyone express to me what that's really saying, ain't going? This is what we would not consider formal language, but informal language. Ken?
Not going.
Right. Ain't is another word for not, but it's very informal, very casual. And then we see going, which without the G. And this is common when we are trying to create a certain character personality. We might use what we call vernacular language or common language, things that you might hear someone say on the street. So it's not formal at all. It's very, very casual. Any reason why someone might do that instead of him saying, but it isn't going away? Why would someone makes and do casual language versus doing it formally? Any idea? Well, this technique is oftentimes used when you write stories to make your characters seem more real, seem more natural, seem more human. This, when we have vernacular or common language, it can help a reader connect and understand many things about the character without necessarily saying them. Sometimes we can assume that the character education level might not be as high. They're a very common person. So many things can be said without actually saying it correctly, but we just understand it just because of the common or vernacular language that you use. Well, today we are going to talk about Elvis Presley. Follow along as I read. From very humble beginnings, Elvis Presley grew up to become one of the biggest names in rock and roll. He was deeply devoted to his parents, especially his mother, Gladys, and was raised to have a strong faith in God. Presley attended the Assembly of God Church with his parents, where gospel music became an important influence for him. In 1955, Presley began to develop a following with fans being drawn to his unusual musical style, provocative, gyrating hips, and good looks. Soon, Presley was everywhere on the radio, television, and the silver screen, working as a musician and actor. Even a stint in the U.S. military couldn't put a damper on Presley's thriving career. He received his draft notice in 1957 and was inducted into the Army the following March. He eventually served in Germany for about a year and a half. Around this time, Presley's personal life also seemed to be on an upswing. He and Priscilla wed in 1967 and had a daughter, Lisa Marie, the following year. Unfortunately, this joyous time would not last. The couple divorced in 1973, and Priscilla received custody over Lisa Marie. Presley was also wrestling with other personal problems, including a growing addiction to prescription drugs. The once thin rock star was battling a weight problem, and his destructive lifestyle caught up with him that fall when he was hospitalized for drug-related health problems. But Elvis has been recognized for his contributions to several musical genres, notably rock, country, and gospel. In 1988, Presley was posthumously inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. 3 years later, he was posthumously inducted into the Gospel Music Association's Gospel Music Hall of Fame. Since his death, Presley has remained one of the world's most popular music icons. Now, let's go ahead and see if we can answer some questions based on the reading. Number one, I want you to find how was Presley likely received by his comrades in the Army, since he was already a famous singer. Question number two, what probably were the causes of Presley's early death? And then question number three, what experiences in Presley's past made him such a versatile artist? Now I'll go back to the reading so that you can find the answers. I've copied the questions over to the chat room so that you can refer to them. But once you find the answers, go ahead and take some time and raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll start to discussing once the time is up. Okay, let's go ahead and discuss some of the answers here. Wesley, let's start with you. How was Presley likely received by his comrades in the Army, since he was already a famous singer? Can you answer, Wesley?
Uh, really, I didn't really get this question.
Do you understand the question?
Yeah, but I didn't really found it in the paragraph.
Well, it wasn't in the paragraph. So sometimes the questions are things that we need to infer. We need to take the idea of what we learned and come up with what is the likely scenario. What did you learn about Elvis Presley? Was he like a liked person? Was he not liked? Did people like him or did they not like him?
They like him
Why?
because he's a famous singer.
Okay. All right. So people enjoyed his music. So how do you think his comrades likely received him? So we know that people liked him for his music. So how do you think his comrades received him when they met him? What's the most likely scenario? Do you think that they also liked him or they didn't like him?
I think they also like him.
Why? Why do you think they also liked him? Do you think his comrades also listened to his music?
No,
No?
but actually, yes.
Yeah, it's very likely. He was famous. So it's very likely that his comrades when they met him, they had already heard his music, they knew who he was. So it was like meeting a celebrity. So they probably
Okay.
were very excited to meet him. So that's the
Okay.
idea of when you have to infer things. You're not given the answer, but you take the information that you learned that you read about, and then you make the most logical conclusion based off of that. All right. Ken, number two, what probably were the causes of Presley's early death?
He ate too much drugs, and the
Okay.
health killed him. The
Okay. So we wouldn't say eat. We wouldn't say eat with drugs. We could say he took too many drugs. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yes, he took too much drugs, so due to the health problem, he died.
What other issues did we discover that he had?
Uh, mm, what fall?
Let's go back to the, let's see, Wesley, do you remember some other issues that he had?
I think drug related health problems.
Okay, that was one. That was what Ken said. What were the other
Oh,
ones? Okay, let's go back to the reading. Take a notice and the third paragraph. Wesley?
I think weight problem.
So he had weight issues. He was overweight. He was using prescription drugs.
Yes.
Now, there's one more that we could maybe assume could have also been a factor. This is not something that he was doing to his body or putting into his body. Ethan?
Maybe like he was very sad because he had a daughter, but the daughter was taken by her old wife, the
That's
wife.
that's correct. He was probably very sad and depressed because he couldn't see or live with his daughter after he and his wife divorced. So all of those things in combination could have added to the stress that caused his early death. Yes, very good. Okay, question number three. What experiences, and Ethan, let's have you answer this one. What experiences in Presley's past made him such a versatile artist? You can answer this one, Ethan.
I don't know.
Not sure? Ken?
he grew up. He grew up something named rock and roll.
It wasn't rock and roll, but it was something to do with how he grew up. Wesley?
Oh, he has mother believing in God, and he always went to church with his with his mother, uh often he has heard is that
Hmm.
gospel music.
Yep, exactly. So the music played it in his childhood as he was growing up, played a big role in his development. Also, we can also see part of his success probably because of the dedication that he had to his mother. He probably shared that same dedication to music because that was a quality um, that he possessed through how his parents had raised him and also through um, what he had experienced with his with religion as well. Very good. Well done. All right, everyone, we had some vocabulary words from the text. I'm sorry, I was going to add one more thing to this. Now, we also learned that he had a very unique style. What was interesting about his style that we learned that also made him a versatile artist? Something special about his style that we discussed, that we read about. Anyone remember?
Gospel?
And no, but take a look at the first paragraph. Two other things about his style. Maybe even three things that show his versatility. Anyone? Okay, some other things that we see, I'm going to highlight here. We learned that he had a very unusual style. So this is something new. He was inventive. We also learned that he moved his body a lot through gyrating hips. And then he also was attractive. He was nice to look at. All those things also help contribute to his versatility. And then finally, we see that he was not only just a singer, but he was also an actor as well, performing on television and in movies. All of that contribute to his versatility. Okay, now we have some vocabulary words from the text. I want you to take two of the vocabulary words and create a sentence around them. Today we have gospel, gyrating, damper, custody, and posthumously. Think about the part of speech that you're going to use for each one as you formulate your sentence. Gospel being an adjective. It can also be a noun. Gyrating being an adjective. Damper being a noun. Custody being a noun. And posthumously being an adverb. Once you have a sentence, you can submit it to me privately in the chat room, and then we'll take a look at the sentences that come in and discuss. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start to take a look at the sentences coming in. If you want to submit, just go ahead and quickly start to wrap up before I move on to the next exercise. Let's take a look at yours, Wesley. So Wesley, you said here, even his parents couldn't make a a damper for him to getting deeper into his gospel music style. Okay. Not bad. Like your uses of the words do work, but the phrases leading up to them, let's take a look at those. So one common phrase that you see with damper is to put a damper. Put a damper on. Put a damper on him. So in this phrase, even his parents couldn't put a damper on him to getting better, getting deeper into gospel music. I'm going to suggest a slight change of your phrase to put a damper on him getting deeper into his gospel music and just taking out this a couple of the words. Into being inside. And then we just don't need the style because we understand that the style is gospel music there. Very good, though. All right, let's take a look at Ethan's. Ethan, you wrote, the robbers got to custody the manager of the store and gyrated in front of the police to provoke them. Okay, so your second half works. Let's talk about the word custody. Custody we oftentimes associate with the responsibility of someone when one person takes responsibility for another person. So I don't know if this phrase really works with custody. Now, we could change it slightly because custody also means we use custody to talk about someone who has been arrested. So maybe we could say something like, the robbers were put into custody by the police. But they gyrated in front of the police to provoke them. That would work. Meaning the custody being the robbers would put in. Very good. All right. Well, everyone, I want to take a look at a couple of sentences. Take a look at these two sentences. What's the difference between them? Shouldn't be looks, it should be cooks. Oh, Ken, you just wrote one in. Okay, let me take yours, Ken, before we get into the grammar section. Let's take a quick look at yours. Ken, you wrote, in the past, there was a person. He had a mission of custody for the king. But he had a problem. He couldn't even put a damper on his son deeper to read more books. Okay, let's kind of work with this a little bit. In the past is a prepositional phrase, so we need a comma in the beginning there. Now, it would be better, instead of just saying there was a person, to tell us who this person was.
Just the person.
Okay, what I mean is that let's attach it to the second sentence. Let's not keep it as its own sentence. Let's tell what makes this person special. So if we look to your second sentence, you said he had a mission of custody. That doesn't quite work. We could say maybe something like a person who was put into custody by the king being a specific person, which we'll capitalize. And then, but I'm going to give you a better way of starting a sentence. However is a great replacement for but. But is really used to combine sentences. It's a coordinating conjunction. And we use subordinating conjunctions if we want to start a sentence. However, he had a problem. Now, here, this doesn't quite work. You want to say that his son liked to read, is that right?
Yeah.
Is this the son of the king or the
It's
person?
his son. No, the person's son.
Okay. So when you add a preposition, we're always going to assume it's the last, I'm sorry, when you use a pronoun, we always are going to assume it's the last person you were talking about. And since you were talking about a king, people would automatically think it was the king you're saying has a problem. So if we have to redefine, if we need to say that it's someone else, then we have to say that again, that person's again. And this is where it might be helpful to give your people names. So let's maybe put that in. We could say there was a person named John who was in custody, was put into custody by the king. Now we can refer, instead of saying the person, we can refer to them as John. However, John had a problem. Now, what I don't quite understand is why would John try to stop his son from reading?
But I didn't write that.
Couldn't even put a stamper on his son deeper to read more books. The sentence doesn't quite work, but what I'm trying to understand is that you're saying that the son wants...
No, it should be the opposite of reading.
Oh, okay. However,
Sorry.
John had a problem. Maybe we could say a period here. So to damper means to stop. So maybe if you could say he couldn't put a damper on his son not reading. Now we understand that the son doesn't like to read. He's trying to stop his son from not acting that way, but actually reading. So it works that way. It's a little bit of a stretch because typically when we use damper, we tend to use damper to say that we're stopping something. Now you're saying damper that you're stopping something that someone is not doing, which is sort of a double negative. So if you want to try to use damper, try to use damper in the future to express that you are stopping something, not stopping something from not being done. It works as just a little bit of a stretch. Okay. All right, everyone. So once again, let's take a look at these two phrases. She cooks well and she is cooking well. Who can explain the difference? She cooks well and she is cooking well. Ken?
She cooks well means she already finished cooking. But she's cooking well, that means she's still cooking.
So your second sentence works. Your explanation works. The first one doesn't. So in the second one, she is cooking well means that she's currently cooking at this moment. But what about the first one, Wesley?
The first one means that she is not cooking now, but uh she has cooked before and is very good.
Okay, let me clean that up just a little bit. The first one is expressing a habit. She cooks well in the past, she cooks well now, and she'll cook well in the future. We're expressing a habit, we're expressing a fact. And that's the present simple. Present simple is to express a habit or fact. Many times you see words like usually, sometimes, often, frequency adverbs. Those we use with present simple. And as Ken, you said in the first one, this is an action. This is present continuous to express an action happening now. So in these particular cases, we sometimes might see a period of time. We also know that it's not going to last forever. It's going to stop at some point. Whereas the present simple, this is talking about things that are always occurring. This page just explains that a little bit more. But let's try an exercise where we have to decide between present simple or present continuous. Let's look at number one. It says, Dave never, with the verb to clean up his mess. Which one is correct? Wesley?
I think David never cleaned up after his mess.
Clean?
Yes.
Not clean. You're missing something with it.
Wait, cleaned.
Not past tense. Either present simple or present continuous. Ken?
Cleans.
Correct. Clean. So third person in present simple has to add an S to it. David never cleans up after his mess. Ethan, take a look at number two. Deborah, with the verb to prepare dinner at the moment.
Deborah is preparing dinner at the moment.
Good. Wesley, number three. I, with the verb to talk with my friend now.
I am talking with my friends now.
Good. Ken, number four. We, with the verb to have a briefing every Monday morning.
We have.
We have. Very good. Ethan, number five. He with the verb to play basketball now.
Is he playing basketball now?
Very good. So as you see, we saw some adverbs of frequency. In the first sentence, we saw never, which we use with present simple. We saw at the moment, which lets us know happening now for present continuous in number two. Number three, we saw now, which lets us know also present continuous. We saw every or each in number four, letting us know it's a habit. Number five, we saw now. So there's always some time marker that lets you know whether to use present simple or present continuous. What I'd like for you to do right now is to create two sentences of your own. Create one sentence that expresses present continuous and another one that expresses present simple. you might end up using some markers that let us know that this is the correct tense. Once you have your 2 sentences, you can submit them to me privately in the chat room, and then we'll take a look and discuss. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the sentences coming in. If you want to submit, just go ahead and quickly start to wrap up. Let's see. Ethan, you wrote, "Is my sister sleeping now? My sister swims well." Very good. Both of those are correct. See, it looks like you sent one in, Wesley, here. You said the dog is having a deep sleep right now. Very good. Now, I'm going to rephrase your phrase just to make it a little bit more more natural. You could say something like this: the dog is sleeping deeply. You might even say the dog is deeply sleeping right now. The deeply just doesn't quite work. It works if we set it in the present simple form. For example, I'm going to give you a present simple form. You might say the dog is sleeping very hard right now. Or we could say the dog is deep in sleep. Or the dog had a deep sleep. Now these are just, I changed the tense. We're not using we're not using this one in present perfect or present simple or present continuous, but just to help you see a couple of ways that the phrasing works better for if we want to include deep. Good. Okay, let's take a look at yours, Ken. Okay, Ken, you said she plays basketball well. She is cooking well. Okay, similar to my phrase. I was wondering if maybe you could do something different. Let's look at another one you sent in, Wesley. Let's see, Wesley, you wrote, "He plays basketball very well." Okay. Yes, similar to Ken's here. Um, Ken, let's add a marker, a time marker to yours. You said he is cooking well. Can you add a time marker to that?
What do you mean?
So remember how I pointed out in the last exercise that there are time markers and many times when we use present continuous or if we use present simple. So for example, in number 1, we see never, which is in frequency adverb.
Okay,
So that's
okay. Okay.
So can you add a time marker in your sentence?
He always is.
So for the present continuous, he is cooking well. What time marker could you use?
is always cooking well.
Always is always, never, all of those frequency adverbs, that's for present simple. You wouldn't use them with present continuous. What type of time markers would you use for present continuous?
Let me think.
Because we know that the action is happening now.
Yes, we know actions happen now.
So a time marker that you could use is at this moment. Right now. Those are our common time markers to let us know that the action is happening right now. Just to help clarify. So that's a key thing when we oftentimes want to use the present continuous, we have a time marker to let us know that's happening now. Frequency adverbs can be in past simple or in present simple, but it's not required. Okay, well, we have a new book for this week. Nothing But the Truth. A little bit about the author who wrote the book, and a short little description. What do you think this book is about? What type of genre? I'm going to read the description briefly. Ninth grader Philip Malloy is forbidden to join the chat team because of his failing grades in English class. Convinced that the teacher just doesn't like him, Philip concocts a plan to get transferred into a different homeroom. Instead of standing silently during the national anthem, he hums along and ends up on trial. Now, this is based on a true story. What type of genre would that be? A book that's based on a true story. What type of genre is that? Ken?
Nonfiction?
It is nonfiction. That's correct. We can call it nonfiction. And since it's recounting something that's not from a long time ago, but more recently, is there another word that we could use, another genre type that we could call it? Well, we could also call this documentary. It's a nonfiction documentary. Just wrote that into the chat room because it is a more recent story, but it's based on a true story. All right, for this week, think about our new vocabulary words that we had, the meaning of our present simple versus, and the usage of present simple versus past, present continuous. For your writing assignment, I want you to research a song of Elvis Presley and summarize what the lyrics are about. Write no more than 400 words, and you can submit that to the form within the next 7 days for edits. On the page afterwards, you'll find the sentences to complete with the words of the day and the answer key to check your answer. I'll go ahead and copy over the link in the chat room. If you'd like to get started with the exercises, just go ahead and click on the link and then request access. Any questions as we wrap up for today?
Okay, excuse me, can you back to the homework page?
Sure.
I didn't. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. If there's no more questions, you all have a great week. I'll see you next week.
Have a nice day. See
You
ya.
too.
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice week.
Yes, you too.